Whelan Presley Funeral Home and Crematory have been serving Quad City families and veterans since 1889. Whelan Presley Funeral Homes are located in Rock Island, Milan, and Reynolds, and are proud supporters of WQPT. Alternatives is a proud supporter of WQPT and has been serving our community for 40 years. Alternatives provides professional guidance to maintain independence and quality of life for older adults and adults with disabilities.
3 numbers designed to save your life, and the man who made Moline famous even today in the cities. One of the lasting scars of the COVID-19 pandemic has been to our national mental health. It is as if our psyche was taking a hit and never fully recovered. People in crisis often find a tough economy even an overwhelming burden, but there are so many other things that are stacking themselves on our shoulders, weighing us down. NAMI, the National Alliance on Mental Illness, is an advocacy group that is trying to make sure that every person gets help. And starting this month, America's mental health may be getting protected with 3 numbers, 988. It is the new National Mental Health Hotline. And we talk with NAMI Mississippi Valley Executive Director Angela Gallagher. So nationwide, the 988 number is now in effect. What impact do you think that's going to have?
We believe that calls and call volumes will increase because it's easy to remember, and you don't have to understand where to find help. 988 will just simplify things. It's available free and confidential and available either by phone or text. And we're excited about the text idea and reaching younger generations.
Yeah, and you know, 988 is just a simple concept. You sit there and you kind of go, why wasn't this done before?
Well, the mental health care system is kind of a patched network, so to speak. So the introduction of 988, we're excited because we think it's an opportunity to reimagine what the mental health system looks like, not only at the state level, but nationally. And so this is an opportunity. I would consider the launch last week of 988 as a soft launch. There's a lot of work to do. And even in how the phone networks are tied together and how the independent crisis lines will tie into 988, there's still a lot of work to do.
Yeah, and they're being answered regionally. I mean, it's not like you're being shipped off, your phone calls being shipped off to a faraway community, Denver, Washington, D.C., New York City.
Hopefully not.
Yeah, so I mean, tell me, if a person's calling that, what can they expect to receive? Individuals living with a condition may call the line. Family members who are also in crisis because mental illness is traumatic for the entire family. You often just don't know what's going to happen next, and family members don't understand what they're looking at sometimes. So everyone is encouraged to call. You don't have to be in a suicide ideation type of crisis. You're welcome to call to get information about where to find help. If you yourself just need to talk through some issues, you're welcome to call. 90% of the call volume is actually handled right there on the phone. What I should say about 988 too, as we talk about reimagining what our mental health system should look like in the future, answering the phone, if you think about a 3-legged stool, answering the phone, having someone with a mental health background and answer the phone is important. If you're not part of the 90% who can get things resolved on the phone,
what happens next?
Yeah.
Well, mobile crisis. So having the ability of a mental health counselor to either go out with law enforcement or to just simply go out themselves to help the individual is extremely important. And the third leg of that stool is a place to go for the 2 to 3% of people who are critically, chronically ill. Our communities need to have a conversation about where can people walk in to get help. And that might include a peer counseling center where you can simply walk in and say, I'm not feeling well today. Part of the discussion may even include, do we have enough crisis beds?
Well, let's be honest, because right now, if you're in crisis, a lot of people will call 911, and then you get a police dispatcher.
Right.
They're all trained, but not as specially trained as if you dial this 988 number. And so I know that a lot of police agencies, a lot of dispatchers are happy to help anyone in need. If you need it, 911's the number to call. 988 will really help you if you're having mental, emotional issues. And like you said, society's going to have to get used to it, so will the providers have to get used to it. But you're saying that we're having a greater discussion about mental health in America. And that's where I wanted to go next, because let's be honest, we've been talking about gun violence a lot. People are saying, well, wait a second, it's not necessarily the gun, it's the person. It's not necessarily the person, it is the person who has mental issues. Mm-hmm. You've studied this issue before. There's no easy answer to gun violence in any way, but it's not always a mental health issue.
We think drawing a line directly to mental illness, from gun violence to mental illness, is unfair. It stigmatizes, it continues the stigma of mental illness. During the Highland Park shooting, I actually heard someone use the phrase nut job. It's very harmful. That keeps people from seeking help. It keeps families not seeking help. Our stance is that there are a number of other social systems that we should be looking at, and I think after the latest shooting, we're beginning to have conversations about sensible options for gun safety. We know that the younger generation has been impacted by social media as well. So what's happening in these other social systems? That's our stance.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is that when you have these mass shootings or any other type of shootings, people also say, there are warning signs. How come the parents didn't do more? How come a relative didn't say, wow, what is wrong with this kid? That kid needs help. You hear it all the time.
We do, and there should be, as part of our national conversation, we should be looking at substance use and expanding mental health services. That is key. But these other systems need to be looked at. And what continues to happen is we just turn back to mental health. And I'll just throw this concept out there to you. Racism, hatred, and violence are not mental illnesses. I mean, we stop and think about that. I think our society, when we see unspeakable, unfathomable acts, we want to reach out and generalize why that's happening. And I would urge our communities to look beyond that and begin to look at what we can do, again, with these other systems.
So often we're seeing this as being troubled young men. I mean, people from the ages maybe of 15 to 35 in that area. And I know in the early ages, in the teen years and early 20s, the development of the brain is different and not fully developed in young men. Tell me how that affects mental health.
Well, just even, I've sat through some seminars with professionals. Yes, teenagers' brains are not fully developed, male or female. I think that social media has had an impact, in particular, you know, when we look at some of the mass shooters, the signs and signals were out there on social media, but not necessarily verbalized inside the home. So what is happening there. Teenagers in general, mental health conditions actually present, half of all mental health conditions present by the age of 14, 75% by the age of 24. And it's unfortunate that we don't get help for these children sooner.
Do you think that there's a greater need then, of course, for counselors or mental health in the schools, because that is the age group?
Absolutely, and youth and teens spend most of their days inside the school system, and statistics back from 2019 show that only 15% of children were actually receiving services inside the school system, and 17% were seeing professionals outside.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Where do you go from here then? I mean, because you've seen cutbacks in the school systems, you've seen cutbacks in so many different areas of mental health. So at a time when people are saying, don't put more restrictions on guns, spend more money on mental health, and you're seeing that's not being done, and then the next shooting or the next bad incident occurs, that's just a frustrating cycle, it seems.
So that, if we reimagine what 988 is, which is the beginning of taking a holistic, integrated view of mental health, it's up to the states to find funding, and there is bipartisan discussion at the national level for additional mental health funding. The good news is, in particular, in eastern Iowa, the mental health region there is actually, the state has asked the region to launch children's behavioral health, which is going to be a holistic, integrated look at what happens. And the state of Illinois is looking at that as well.
Are these small steps? Because they seem to be small steps rather than significant improvements.
At the local level, I see a lot of significant improvements because the healthcare providers, I mean, there's a myriad of healthcare providers, and they weren't necessarily talking to one another. Mm-hmm. They are beginning to talk to one another. Their data is being looked at by the state, or by the counties and the state, to look at where the gaps in services are. There's been a lot of processes changed, and for us in our area as well, we have access to these mobile crisis teams. Many of the rural areas don't have that, and many other, things have been splintered. In the Quad City area, we've been working for the last few years to really try and pull that together and take a holistic view at what is needed in our community and where the gaps are, and begin to work together.
And once again, 988 now in service. If you need help, you can get it. 3 simple numbers.
Right, confidential and free.
Angela Gallagher, NAMI Mississippi Valley Executive Director. And once again, that number 988. But also, once again, all other crisis hotlines will remain operating for you to use 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. In a moment, the story of John Deere. But first, Laura Adams is putting together great ideas as you plan your next great adventure out and about.
This is Out and About for July 29th through August 4th. It's time for the Bix 7 Run Walk on the 30th, starting at 8 a.m. There's so much to do, including the Finish Line Fest at the Stardust from 10 to 10. Plus, a screening of the film Bix, Ain't None of Them Play Like Him Yet at the Figge Art Museum from 1 to 3. The movie will be followed by the film Asia at 4, presented by the Jewish Federation of the Quad Cities. The Mississippi Valley Fair kicks off August 2nd and runs through the 7th. Western Illinois University is hosting an employer town hall on August 4th from 9 to 11 at Riverfront Hall, and the Eldridge Police Department hosts their first National Night Out Stand Against Crime event at Sheridan Meadows Park the 2nd from 5 to 9. And there's music galore with the Heights of the Area at Lindsay Park the 29th from 3 to 10:30. Plus, the Bix Jazz Festival at Rhythm City Casino begins the 4th. RME's Live at 5 features The Dawn on the 29th, and the Matt Fuller Band on August 5th, while Bass Street Landing Summer Concert Series presents a Frank Sinatra tribute big band August 4th starting at 7. On stage, Shakespeare improvisational comedy takes over the Black Box Theater July 31st at 7:30, and Genesius Guild present Aristophanes the Frog at Lincoln Park for 2 weekends beginning the 30th. For more information, visit wqpt.org.
Thank you, Laura. Mo Carter puts her career in the simplest terms. She says, I play, I write, I sing, I perform. Well, she performed one of her original materials when she joined us at Molene's Black Box Theater. Here's Mo Carter with Crumbled.
Your brilliance in every way, a constant reminder, as it's always on display, thinking if I try harder, I could be simply better, but that's not the case for me, so I crumble, just like you knew I would, and I crumble so beautifully, and I crumble into the sea, and I crumble. It's so easy, oh, every time, not even trying, create a beautiful rhyme. If I had a sliver of what you possess, would it be easier for me to confess that I crumble? Oh, just like you knew I would, and I crumble. Oh, so silently, and I crumble. Oh, into the sea, and I crumble. I'm twisting at every turn. Your shadow looks and I burn. With nothing left, I guess I'll accept that I'll continue to be nothing better. Only me, nothing better. Only me, oh, nothing better. Only me, oh, and I crumble. Oh, just like you knew I would, and I crumble. Oh, so foolishly, and I crumble. Oh, into the sea, and I
Mo Carter with Crumbled, performed at Molene's Black Box Theater. Moline is marking 150 years since it was incorporated as a small mill city along the Mississippi River. The year was 1872, but it was 24 years earlier, in 1848, when a man with a vision to help farmers better break Midwest soil came to this part of the Mississippi River and changed agriculture and this community for good. As Moline marks its sesquicentennial, we talk with John Deere historian Neil Dahlstrom about the Deere impact, which started before Moline even became Moline. Would Moline be Moline without John Deere?
Not in the way that we think about Moline today.
Yeah.
I travel all over the place, and when people learn that I work for John Deere, they associate that with Moline, which is super cool. So they've been connected, and even when the Moline 150th planning came up, I said, "Are you sure?" Because Deere was here 25 years before that.
And that's what I was thinking as well, is that, I
Yeah.
mean, John Deere arrived here well before Moline was incorporated.
Right. John Deere arrived here in 1848. And in July of 1848 started the belt machinery in the factory for the first time. So that's kind of our foundation in Moline.
Yeah, and let's be honest, I mean, tell me why Moline was picked once again. I mean, we all know Milltown, and we all know the importance of the river and how the river was flowing through this area.
Yeah, John Deere moved from Grand to Tour. And Moline wasn't the only place he looked at. He looked Camden, which is Milan today, LaSalle, Peru. Not only was he looking for raw materials, he was looking at the river for transportation. The railroad was coming to Rock Island.
That was a big deal.
The first railroad bridge across the Mississippi River is going to be going to open in 1856. He also negotiated for free land and water power rights to build a factory. So he wasn't just walking around saying, "I like this spot." He was negotiating the best deal too.
I think some people just sit there and go, okay, he's just a simple guy. He came up with an idea of a steel plow,
Yeah.
better breaks the sod of the Midwest, and that's the end of the story. That's what he did. But I mean, there's people that came up with inventions, and that was it. He created a manufacturing hub. He created a business. I mean, that's not a simple man does not do that.
No, and we know his name because the company survived. There were 2,100 plow manufacturers in the United States in 1860.
Yeah, think of that,
Yeah,
exactly.
and no one can name another one.
Yeah.
And so questions like, well, there were other people building steel plows. There were, they didn't work, and they couldn't sell them. So yeah, they were building them, but they weren't successful. And that's the other side of it, is you got to build it, you got to sell it, and then you got to scale it. And he figured out how to do all those things.
Well, and he also helped build the community. I mean, he was the second mayor. He was a bank president. He was active in churches. He was active with the library. Tell me about that part of John Deere, because we talk about the businessman, we talk about the plow, we talk about the farm machinery, but we never really talk about him as the community philanthropist or city leader.
Yeah, and it was just kind of in his DNA that you've got to build this community. Remember, this is basically the frontier in the 1840s and 50s and going into the Civil War in the 1860s. So you're working with all these people in the community to build your town and to attract settlers here, essentially. So you're building this foundation for the future. John Deere's daughters were behind the scenes active in the business. Their sons all joined the company. John's son Charles, who becomes the second CEO, goes to business school. He goes to an abolitionist college for his training. John Deere's known for breaking up meetings of the Democratic Party in the 1850s and 60s. The Argus called him a raging abolitionist at one point. So he stood up for what he believed in. He believed in his community, and he was involved in just about everything. He put out a fire on a bridge. He was just kind of involved in a little bit of everything.
And then you bring up the fact that there's this family connection. I mean, if you go through Moline, you hear the Butterworths, you know of the Vealeys, you have this extended family that, I mean, some people left, of course, but still has roots in the Quad Cities and in Moline.
Yeah, it's amazing, and these family connections go to New York City. They're in California with the Butterworths and the Vealeys, Webbers, Wyman. So you have all these family names, and a lot of them, if you live in the Quad Cities, you grew up with these names, you know these names, but they all came together through the Deeres, which is pretty incredible.
Yeah, I also love the fact that, I mean, when you think of the Vealeys, you think of the automobiles.
Yeah.
Actually, Deere creating. Didn't Deere get into motorcycles?
Almost.
Yeah, exactly,
Got into
yeah.
automobiles in 1907.
Yes, I mean,
Yeah.
it was kind of interesting that they really did try to look at different areas. They loved that type of machinery.
Yeah, and looking back at company history, this idea of technology that we talk a lot about today, it's always been there. Charles Deere Wyman, our fourth CEO, was an aviation enthusiast. He flew during World War I. He trained on a Wright Flyer.
That's amazing.
Charles Deere started to get into the car business before he died in 1907. Willard Veely went from the carriage business to the automobile business, eventually into the airplane business. He tried building a tractor even before John Deere introduced its own tractor.
Well, and you do have a really soft spot for Charles Deere, the son of John Deere, as the man who really progressed the company.
Right, yeah, absolutely. And Charles Deere essentially took over at the age of 21 in the late 1850s and really transformed it from a frontier business into a business that could grow and evolve. He diversified the product line, went into the building planters, seeding equipment, which is still in operation in Moline since 1877 in the same location. So I think he doesn't get his just due because we usually talk about John Deere, but Charles Deere, we owe a lot of the company's success to him.
And you take a look at Deere and Company now, 150 years of Moline, and Deere still has such a huge presence. I mean, that seems to be still in the fiber of the company. I mean, you take a look at the golf tournament, you look at the pavilion, you look at all the things that it helps support in the community. It may not be John Deere the person, but it's still exemplified in John Deere the company.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why we're proud to be the presenting sponsor at the Moline 150th. And at the end of the day, there's thousands of John Deere employees in the Quad Cities. We live here, we raise our kids here. We go to the farmers market, we do all the things that everybody else does, and so it's important that we continue to be a strong part of the community.
Our thanks to Neil Dahlstrom, John Deere historian and author of The John Deere Story, a biography of plowmasters John and Charles Deere. And we'll continue to celebrate Moline's birthday. Upcoming programs up until that party is planned for the heart of the city in August. On the air, on the radio, on the web, on your mobile device, and streaming on your computer. Thanks for taking some time to join us as we talk about the issues on the cities.
Whelan Presley Funeral Home and Crematory have been serving Quad City families and veterans since 1889. Whelan Presley Funeral Homes are located in Rock Island, Milan, and Reynolds, and are proud supporters of WQPT. Alternatives is a proud supporter of WQPT and has been serving our community for 40 years. Alternatives provides professional guidance to maintain independence and quality of life for older adults and adults with disabilities.